Full-size, non-generic box of Kleenex. Evan, you need to get your fine paid here.
Oh, where's Bella though?
What do you do with all these Kleenex boxes?
We go through so many Kleenex
At the school?
Yeah, well, I give some away, a lot of it's in this room.
Oh, because this year we did that too.
Yeah. It's used every period but one, so there's a lot of kids.
One tissue's used once. A period at least.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's people using Kleenex all the time. Okay, so, yeah, here we go. We have one, I want to do one more section, and then I want to do our practice quiz for our quiz next time. But this next section, we're on page 25, problem number 5. It involves negatives and fractions. So we have talked about how to deal with negatives, and we talked about how to deal with fractions in terms of exponents, but now we're going to put them together. All right, so here we go. First thing I want you to do is take care of the negative. Okay, so what does a negative exponent do? It's going to change this guy into a 1/8. So now we're going to have 1/8 to the 2/3 power.
I thought we flipped the 2/3 also.
No. Listen to me. We never flip the exponent. The negative exponent flips the base. And then the exponent becomes positive, right? Now, remember, a fractional exponent means a radical. Anytime you see a fraction that's an exponent, you're thinking radical. So this number is always which radical, right? And then we're going to have 1/8 under here, and we're going to square it. Now, what is the cube root of 1? 1. What is the cube root of 8? 2. Now we're going to square that. What is 1 squared? What is 2 squared? There's the answer to your question. Now, in the beginning, there's a lot of steps here. And in the beginning, you're probably going to need to go through every single step. But after you practice a few, like on the worksheets I gave you yesterday or the day before, and on your homework, you'll start getting the hang of it and it won't take you quite so long. Here we go again. What did I tell you to do first? Flipping. If you see a negative exponent, you flip this. So that's going to be 1/4 to the 3/2. Do we ever flip our exponent?
No.
Never. Never. Do not flip your exponent. Your exponent stays the same. It just becomes positive. Now, that is a fractional exponent. A fractional exponent says radical. This tells you what the radical is. It's the square root cubed, right? Right? And under here is 1/4. All right. What's the square root of 1? 1. What's the square root of 4?
2.
2. Now we're going to cube it. 1 cubed.
1.
2 cubed.
6. 8. 8.
2 cubed is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. Judah, let's throw things. All right. Now, here we go. If we just keep practicing, we're going to get better. What do I do first?
Flip it.
Flip it. So that's going to become 9, or 9/1. I'm just going to write 9 to the positive 1/2. That's a radical. What radical is it? Square root, first power.
3.
So 9, the square root of 9 is 3 to the first, and that's just 3. Look, we got fractions, negatives, we got all kinds of stuff. One thing at a time. That negative tells me I'm going to flip it, right? So I'm going to start with 27/8 to the positive 1/3. So I flip this over and make my exponent positive. Now, the fractional exponent tells me I'm going to have a radical. Every fractional exponent means a radical. This number, the denominator, tells me which radical, cube root. 27/8 to the first power. What's the cube root of 27? 3. What's the cube root of 8?
2.
2. And since it's just to the first power, the answer is just 3/2. Okay. Would you try E on your own? See how far you can get with E. We'll walk through it together, but see if you can get E. Who got an answer they're willing to share? And then we're going to walk through it and see.
1/9.
You all got 1/9.
Go.
Well, I don't know. Let's write it down over here and we'll see if that's the right answer.
What a genius.
First thing, gonna make this 127. Because it's a negative, so it flips. Radical. I know it's a radical because it has a fractional exponent. Oh my gosh, I think you guys are right. Woohoo, good job. If you said 1/9, you are right. All right, take the next, work on the next few here and see what you can come up with. This is really as hard as they get, so if you can do these, you're doing great. Evan, are you working on them?
Yeah.
Okay. Normally that requires like a pencil. And
I'm doing it in my head.
no, you're not.
I am.
Humor me. Put some pencil to the paper.
Humor her. Make her laugh.
You got them all done, Sam?
Oh.
Tell me your answers, Sam. We're gonna check them.
Starting with F.
16 to the negative 3/4. Yeah.
My final answer was 1/8.
Okay.
G, I got 2.
2.
2.
H, I got 1/27. I got 1/10.
Well, I don't have those up here yet, so let's
Okay,
just
got
hang
it.
on with that and see how. Let's see how Sam did. These are the answers he got. Let's see if we end up with that. So this one's going to be 1/16. Jalen, when you have a negative exponent, you start by taking care of the flip. So 16/1 becomes 1/16. To the 3/4. That means a radical. So we're going to have the 4th root of 1/16 cubed. Denominator tells you the root. Numerator tells you the power. 4th root of 1. 4th root of 16. I think Sam is right. Do you? See that negative? First thing I'm going to do is turn this over, so he's going to become a 16. That means radical. Fourth root to the first power. 16, fourth root of 16 is 2. Sam's right. 2 for 2. How do I start here? I don't square root first. Can't square root first. Gotta take care of that. 1/9. Very good. Now it's a square root cubed. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 9 is 3. Sam got them all right. Good job.
Wow.
We have 2 to go. 2 to go on this section, and we'll look at our practice. Anybody besides Sam have a guess at an answer here? Sophia?
It's 1/10.
10?
Yeah, no, 110.
110?
Yeah.
All right, Sophia's guessing 1/10. Let's see if she's right.
1,027.
We're going to start with 1 over 100 to the 1/2. And that means the square root of 100, excuse me, 1 over 100, the square root of 1 over 100, which is 1 over 10. She's right. Anybody want to take a guess at this one before we work it out? Judah? 4,000 over 1,000 over 81. Boy, that looks like, let's see, that looks weird. Let's see, so the first thing we'll do is turn this over and make it 100 over 9. Remember, that's the first thing you have to take care of. So the first thing you do is the flip. If there's a negative. Then we think of this as a radical, square root cubed. What's the square root of 100? 10. The square root of 9, 3. Cubed. What's 10 cubed? 10 times 10 times 10, that's 1,000. What's 3 cubed?
27.
27. 81 is 3 to the 4th. All right, we got it? Lots of stuff to know there. Okay, here's our practice quiz. Now I put, since I had a whole piece of paper, I put more problems on here than we'll get on the quiz, just so we get a little extra practice. But your quiz will have these kinds of problems on it. So you want to make sure you know how to do them. Both sides of the paper. Did you say you were on homework?
Y equals AB squared, right? Or ABS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're looking at our practice quiz, and the first 2 questions are exactly the same. Your real quiz will have only one of these. Let's see if we can remember how to do this. Question says exponential question mark. Yes or no? A or 1, number 1.
Yes.
Yes. What's the rule? To be exponential,
Has to be an exponent?
you can only have one x, and the x is the exponent, right? That's what exponential means. Is this a growth or decay problem?
Decay.
Decay, and what's the percent? What's the
22.
rate? 22%. So you're gonna write 22% decay.
Wait, why is it
And why is it 22?
78%?
100 minus 78, that's right. It's always how much more than 100 you are or how much less than 100 you are.
How do you know if it's exponential?
If it's above one.
X, no, X is the exponent.
Oh, then.
Where were you yesterday? When we talked about this. Okay, look at your notes. What is the initial value in number 1? The initial value is 3. Remember, in the equation, which is something times something to the x, this is the initial value. Right?
78.
What?
0.78.
The initial value is 3.
Okay.
It's right here. It's this number.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. You guys we talked about this yesterday and everybody acted like you knew what was going on. Go back and watch that video or look at your notes again. Make sure you get it. Here's another example. Is this one also exponential?
Yes.
Yep. What is its rate of growth or decay? Now this is a little tricky.
Growth.
It's a growth. What's the decimal for 5/4?
1.25.
1.25? Isn't it 1 1/4? So it's 1.25. So this is definitely a growth problem. How much growth? 25%. So this is a 25% growth. The growth rate is how much less than 100 you are or how much more than 100 you are. What's your initial value here? -16. Now, the next couple problems ask you to write your own exponentials. So I would write this down if I were you. This is our goal. So we are trying to find an A and a B, right? An A and a B. So here we go. You might already know what A is. I'm going to go ahead and work it out. 4 equals A times B to the 0. B to the 0th is 1, so A is 4. Using the Cole theorem, did you remember that? Y equals 4B to the x. We know A is going to be our y-intercept always. Now I need to figure out my B. So I'll plug in my other point. 32/27 equals 4B to the third.
Multiply by 1/4.
Multiply both sides by 1/4. Now you might be thinking divide by 4, and that's fine, except since there's a fraction over here, it's easier to multiply by a 4th.
Cross cancel.
So B to the third equals 1 times 32 over 4 times 27.
8 over 27.
You can go ahead and cancel. So B to the third equals 8 over 27.
2/3 after 8.
So now I have to cube root both sides to find out what B is. Jalen, we're going to have a conversation after class. I want you to stay. So B equals the cube root of 8, which is 2, over the cube root of 27, which is 3. My answer then, don't forget to write your answer. What did we say A was? 4 times 2/3 to the x power.
Going back to the first two problems, if on the quiz it's not exponential, should we not fill out?
You can't fill out the rest, right?
Can you do that backwards? So like, you know how you put 4 in? Couldn't you put 32 over 27 in? Like at first?
Use this point first?
Yeah.
You absolutely can, but then you won't be able to solve it.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have an A and a B both then,
Okay.
and you're not gonna be able to figure out what that is. That's why I want you to start with a 0 first.
Okay.
We always start with that point first. Otherwise it just gets too tricky. All right, let's try the next one. Now we're gonna do exactly the same thing, gang. Y equals A times B to the X. So what do we know about A?
It's -10.
It's gonna be -10. So now we'll plug in -2/5 equals -10 B to the second. Now how do we go about solving that?
Multiply by 1 over
Multiply by 1 over -10.
That'll cross cancel.
So B squared equals positive 2 over 50. Positive because the negatives cancel.
1/25.
And 2/50ths is 1/25 when you reduce it.
So it's gonna be 1/5 after the square root.
So we square root both sides and B ends up being 1/5. Then we write our answer. Y equals -10 times 1/5 to the X. So this is what we write as our answer. Oh, don't put it away, there's a back side.
This back's
Oh,
wow.
yeah, there's a back side. This board's ain't no waste paper. There's a back side. Are there any of those that look easy?
Yes.
All of them look easy.
I'll get them for you.
All right, here we go. I think G looks incredibly easy. Quite honestly, I ran out of ideas, so I just threw that on there. That is G,
F is easy.
25. All right, F, somebody said F is easy. Well, now F has a negative exponent. So the first thing you're gonna do is turn it over, right?
Yeah.
And when you turn over 1/10, it becomes 10 over 1 or 10 to the second power. So yeah, I guess it's kind of easy. That's 100. Since we're going backwards, let's just keep going. E. What are we going to do first? Flip it. So we have 16/9 to the 1/2. Boys and girls, when you see that fractional exponent, you should immediately think radical. And it's a square root to the first. What is the square root of 16/9?
4/3.
4/3. When you see a negative, you think flip. When you see a fraction exponent, you think radical. Don't get those turned around. There's no radical in this problem. There is a flip though, right? So we're going to have 4/3 squared,
16.
which is 16 over 9, right? Now this one, there's no flip. No flipping because there's no negative. But there's a fraction, so I'm thinking radical.
Just 2.
So 4 through to 16 is 2. Okay, keep it straight. If you see a negative, you're thinking flip. If you see a fractional exponent, you're thinking radical. So what am I thinking in this problem? Radical. Cube root of 8 squared. The cube root of 8 is 2, squared is 4. What am I thinking in problem A? Flip. Flip. I see a negative, so I'm going to flip. So it's 1/2 cubed. There's no radical there. 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/8. Do that. Can you what? Yes, you may go get your lunch back. Okay, go ahead and go. Mr. Schedecker? I have a video open on my laptop. Oh, it's probably the radio.